First of all, it's a very important area to learn Hilchas Rebis, because Hilchas Rebis is probably the most negligent area in halacha. A businessman who's buying and selling is most probably over an avak ribis very often in his dealings. He started learning it, and the more you get into the details, there's problems. I know in Williamsburg, I had a balabas who came to me with some kind of a contract. In Williamsburg, they have special rabbonim or dayonim in a beis din or another beis din who deal with issues of ribis, which balabatim come when they have issues of ribis, buying and selling, to make a heter iska or other solution to get out of the issue of ribis. There's a wholesale solution, buying and selling, which the Rebbe mentions in a letter. I recently saw that Ginsburg, who was from the Mishpachas Beis Harav, did business. He also did it, that he would write on an invoice, Keheter Iska, Beheter Iska Apitikun Chazal, which is basically a wholesale Heter Iska on all invoices. My father was dealing and buying and selling for a while, my father, Allah Shalom. And I saw it was an English invoice in the English language, and he had Alpi Heter Iska Katika Chazal, ALPI Heter Katika Chazal. Now, probably one day or another, Rabbi Shuch will give you a share on that, if this is effective, if it's not effective, it's obviously for Avak Ribis, the Rabbanan, and so on. One of the big problems is, and I know this happens here in this community or elsewhere, there's two balabatim. Wants to take a loan from another rav, and he says, "Okay, I'll lend you. How much? 10%, 15%. Okay, we got to get a heter iska." So they go into a rav, and the rav hands them paper, heter iska. He says, "He signed this." The Malva doesn't understand what a heter iska is. The lawyer doesn't understand what the heter iska. But the understanding is, if you sign a heter iska, then you're allowed to take interest, which is ribis ktsutza deraisa. Actually, there's a tzemach tzedek who says you don't necessarily need a shtar heter iska. If the understanding between them is al peh, to make a heter iska, technically you could, if that's the deal that they made, the arrangement is that this is not a loan, but it is an investment or iska, so then you don't necessarily need a shtar heter iska. So that's because there's a lot of amoratzes in this inyanim, and therefore it's a gewaldige zach that this koilel is like a learning inyanim of ribis, and really this should be mefarsim in the community in a big way, and to help the balabatim should know, maybe they should come over here with issues of iska, of heter iska, of business dealings, of loans, and so on, and this would be a shimush for the younger light to taka see what's going on. Now, I'm going to speak about the closed union of ribis, the gdarim of ribis, more than specific halachic issues. The big question is, what's taka ribis? What's taka the avla of ribis? Or is there an avla of ribis? What's taka the yisoid of isur ribis? Now I see in this pamphlet, in this booklet or a sefer that Molakit Sifrei Rabbi Seinu Nesienu Tamidei V'Chas Ribis V'Heter Iska, very gewaldige Sache put together. And there's also that famous Sikha from Parshas Behar. So we're going to analyze it, what's written in the Sikha, what's not written in the Sikha, to give you a broader picture about this whole Indian. So what's taka wrong with ribis and right with ribis and so on? The side of the machlekes is a machlekes harishonim. Is ribis a din of gazel? Is there an avla over here? Or there's no avla of ribis, there's no gather of gazel of ribis? And how exactly does the Isser ribis work? So the Rebbe goes into it. He speaks about why is it a mitzvah, according to some Rishonim, it's in this last Shabbos, this parsha, there's a mitzvah to take ribis. That's the Rebbe's question. And as a result of that, the Rebbe goes into the machlokes harishonim. There's a machlokes harishonim if mechila helps by ribis. Machlokes harishonim. It's in the sug in the beginning of Eza and Eshech. What's a machlokes harishonim? Of course, you're not allowed to take ribis, and of course, it starts with mechila. But what happens if someone already took ribis? So the din is that you have to halacha is like Rebbe Lazar that ribis kutzutza yaitze b'daran. We're talking about ribis deraisa. It's yaitze b'daran. There's a chiyuv for the malva to give back the money of ribis. Now that there's a chiyuv to give back the money of ribis, so now the guy wants to do tshuva, the malva wants to do tshuva, the loiva wants to do tshuva, the only tshuva, and the only tikkun over here is that he gives back the money. What happens if the loiva decides, you know what, I took from you a loan $1,000, 10%, so I gave you, not only paid you back the $1,000, but also an extra $100. The malva says, I want to do a tikkun, I want to do tshuva, I want to give you back the $100. And the loiva says, I'm moichel you the $100. It's a machlokes harishonim. The Rambam and the Rosh hold you could be moichel. The Go'onim hold you can't be moichel ribis. So this is an interesting machlokes. Could you be moichel? You can't be moichel ribis. Now, there's two ways of learning this machlokes. Before we go to the way the Rebbe learns the machlokes, there's the way the Rebbe brings this in the name of the Avnei Nezer. This is also in the Yeshiva Sheveld. This is how they learned. Baruch Ber has a whole arichas in it in Baba Metzia. What is the Sforas HaMachlokes of the Rishonim if you can be moichel ribis or not? So the way they want to learn that ribis is gezel. Ribis is gezel. Because you're not allowed to take ribis. So the moment, that $100 that it's in the hands of the malva, it's really the loiva's money. Since it's the loiva's money, the loiva could be moichel. That's the shittas Harambam v'Arash. You can have be moichel. What's the shittas Hagoinim that they say you can't be moichel ribis? So that is what the Rebbe brings it also. That the Ritva brings from the Sfaras Hagoinim, because ribis is really an isur. It's not a din moment. There's no din moment. So these Rishonim, the Goinim hold, that really, since the loiva gave the ribis willingly to the malva, so the Torah says you're not allowed to do this. So who is the avla to? The avla is against the loiva. The avla is not against the loiva. The avla is on the malva. The malva did an avera, Isur bola. He did an avera. Mela, since he did an avera, he has to do a tikkun. What's a tikkun? You have to give it back. So why does he have to give it back? He has to give it back because he did something to the loiva? No. The Torah said that's a tikkun. Torah could have said give it to bring your carbon. The Torah could have said another tikkun. So therefore, it's not up to the loiva to be malvit, to be moichelet. He can't be moichelet. That's as far as Hagoinim. The kuliyama. Question is, what's the Sfaras Harambam v'Arash who hold you could be moichel? There is a lashon, which the lashon is in Tuna Shulchan Aruch, and the Rebbe brings in one of the ha'ares. The lashon is, and I marked over here down from the tour. Vada im lokach of avi adoni zal kosa. That's the Rosh. Vada im lokach memenu ribis v'tzarach achzir lo mo'eles mechil lapoitrei K'may b'chol gezel. So the Rebbe thinks what's pshat. But that's a svara. That's how a lot of mefarshim learn pshat, that mechila helps because it's gezel. That these Yishrenim hold that it's a gather of gezel. Now you do find throughout the sugya that there is a comparison between ribis and gezel. You find it throughout the sugya. The halacha is that mechila does help. Not like the Goyim, like the Rishonim, like the Rosh and the Rambam. So they learn Kipshutei like it's K'may B'chol Gezel. The Rebbe and the Shulei Hagilyan and Ha'ara, what's the learn? It's Lav Dafka, because soon going to go to the Rebbe's Mahalach. But you have to understand there's another, the Rebbe also brings that clearly the Megillah in the Ramban says clearly that there's no mitzvah. Why is there not counted in the mitzvah of Hachzaras Ribis? Because it's included in Gezel. So it's clearly that even Rishonim who hold that Ribis is a din in Gezel. You have in the Sugis HaGemara, in the Sugis HaGemara have Hagazlonim u'malve Ribis. So the Gemara is masculine. What says Gazlon u'malve Ribis machzirin? You have to give back. So the Gemara is shakul v'tayah. What is it? Gazlon u'malve Ribis? Gazlonim ma'ini u'malve Ribis. It's lashon HaGemara. Who's Gazlonim? Gazlonim is malve Ribis. The svara bazeh is there's a Taisus in Baba Kama a few days. I'm saying quote. The shaila is since the loiv is giving it midas. So l'chura, what kind of a gazel is it? And the beginning, you learned the beginning of the Sugis HaGemara, the first and Samach Aleph. L'chura, what do you have to have? Gazel and Eno and Ribis. What do you have? What's it? Tzrichasa. So the Gemara said that Gezel is Shalom Midas. Eno is also Shalom Midas. Gezel is negative sign. Eno he doesn't know. And Ribis, he's giving Midas. So he's Moichel the Ribis. So what kind of Gezel it is? The Shem is saying it's Gezel. So there's a Taisus in Baba Kama. He says, the Afagav the Midas Nostam Loi is Nayu Gabe B'Toides Gzela the Hava Nesina B'Tos. That says, Vibal the Torah Ga'asert Ribis. So since the Torah asked it, so it's so derech mamela. It's even though he gave it willingly, and he needs the loan. So Taisa says, since the Torah asked it, is snayu gabei b'Torah's gezela. The have a kinesin b'Torah. It's a mistake that I gave. I shouldn't have given him. So together gezel into it. Later on, I'm going to show you the Alter Rebbe also. There's a Shulei Hagilyan, the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch Hilchos Ribis, that there's also a gather of Gezel, which is another discussion towards the end. But so far, this idea that the reason Mechila helps is because it's Gezel, so the idea that Ribis is Gezel and so on is in Rishonim and is in Achrayim and is explaining this matter. The Rebbe doesn't learn that way. The Rebbe learns that the din of Ribis is not Gezel. That the loiva is entitled, the malva is entitled to the money of Ribis. He's entitled to that money. And not only because the loiva gave it willingly, which is one nakuda that the Gemara brings, but he has another nakud. And the Rebbe says, even though in principle in Yesod, the Go'inim are right, because the Go'inim say that this is mitzad dine momenis, there shouldn't be Easter at all over here, because he gave it willingly, and as the Rebbe say, there's more to it. So, and it's really Easter ball, and really like the Ritva and Kedushin, which we're soon going to speak about, it's Mamoine Shal Malva. That's the whole Yesod of that Rebbe Sicha, that the money really was earned by the Malva. It's not only that the Loiva gave it to him, it's like a matana, but he earned that money mitzad the deal of a loan. So the Rebbe says that you have to say that the Rosh and the Rambam agree with that Yesod. and therefore it's not gezel. What's the raya? In a ha'ara, the Rebbe brings a raya, and he says it's a strong raya. The raya is that if the malva dies with mam ribis biyadai, he has mam ribis, and he died, the Yarshim don't have to pay it back. Even though when the malva is alive, the halach is ribis ktsutza yaitze b'dayanim, and koifinai say they will force him to pay it back. But if he dies, the children don't have to pay it back. Even though gezel, you have to pay back. All the debts that that a person has, and he leaves behind assets, he leaves behind money, before the Yarshim can take that money for themselves, they have to pay all the chayvus of the father. Because there's a shibud on all of the nechasim of the father to pay the chayvus, pay the ksuva, to pay the halvas, the nezikin, everything they have to pay, the gzela, they have to pay that all before they take. When it comes to ribis, they don't have to. Is the charaya that this is really mamayne shel malva? Because if this money belonged to the loiva, or like these Yidishanim learn pshat that it's gezel. If it's gezel, the Yashim have to pay the gezel before they can take them. If there's money left, if there's money that the father left behind, of course there's a shibud to pay all the gezel, so they're going to have to pay the gezel. So this is really the raya. The Rebbe brings that in ha'ara. That's the raya of the goinim, which is a very strong raya, and that's what the Rebbe holds taka, that even the Rosh Hashanah holds it's not an union of gezel, it's mamoyne shel malva. One of the others is going to learn pshat, and as I said before, it's clearly in the Rishonim that there's some Rishonim who hold it, and certainly Achrayim, who hold that it's not an union of gezel. So there's a thesis in Samach Aleph Amid Beis, which is really based on a Gemara in Baba Kama, the Gemara that I mentioned before, where the Gemara says that if a person left behind ribis, mamash shel ribis, even if it's be'en, and you hold that Yoresh is not kiloi keach, that the Yoresh is b'makom ha'av, so there was no shinei rishus, and the mammon is be'en, still you don't have to pay it back. Why don't you have to pay it back? Because there's a mitzvah of paying ribis, as what's the lashon over there? Ahadale kehecha denechi bahadach v'cheya achicha imach v'didei kamazar rachman l'brei lemazar rachman. It's a chiyuv on the father, not on the son. So you have to say, so l'chure, it's a taste over here, but varens, that this haste, it's a chiyuv on the father, not on the son, but it's moment, it's l'chure, there's no shini rishus. So if you hold that it's mamish and malva is good. But from the mashmois of Taisus over there, and certainly the Taisus of Baba Kama, it's even if you hold that it's gezel, you still don't have to give it back. So it comes out like a zera sakosov. The cheya, since the Torah had to make a special mitzvah imach, that's kilo only when you're alive you have to give it back. So only you have the mitzvah, not the father. It's kilo moitzi, which it's a modern way to learn. But chud azay kum teis pshat. The Rebbe goes a different mahalach. The Rebbe's mahalach is that no, it's a moine shel malva. The fact that the Yarshim don't have to pay it back, therefore it comes out it's moine shel malva, that he earned the money. And so the Rebbe is not so much mayrech on exactly how this works. But that's also there's a Rogachover also holds it's moine shel malva. Clearly, he says the Rebbe brings the Rogachover, but there's also Chidusha of the Rogachover on Baba Metzia that's printed. Over there has more arichas than the Rebbe brings, and it brings a very interesting vart. He says, so the Maisa, there's no Einish Malkus. There's a big debate in Rishonim, but the Rama Paskin, there's no Einish Malkus for taking ribis. Why? Because it's a lava nitik, let's say. There's a mitzvah of chazara. The Rishonim have mechlokes and there's debates. There's a Ramban, which we're not going to go into. So, but what's interesting here is, so the Shaila is on the Rambam. He says, and the Rishonim asked, and Mefarshim asked the Shaila, Mele, the Malva has a tikkun. What's the tikkun of the Malva? He took ribis and he's giving it back. So he's giving back the ribis. He's misakin the lav. The lav you're not allowed to take it. Whether you learn pshat, it's gezel, or you learn pshat, it's but it's isur or gezel. Anyway, he did an avera. What's the tikkun? He giving it back. But the loiva, what's his tikkun? He's not doing anything to undo his avera. There's a loisa on the malva. There's a loisa on the loiva. There's a loisa on the edim. So he says, l'chura, the loiva is not doing anything to misakin. He's receiving. So what? He doesn't have to do anything. He's not doing a ma'isa of tikkun. So how's huh?
The malva gives back the ribis. There's no lufnei iver because the malva's not iver, and there's no. Yeah, the whole distance.
So, but he's giving it back. So it's really. So the truth of the matter is that if it's gezel, so then he doesn't have to do anything. He's just giving it back. The loiva doesn't do anything. So the Ragat Shava says, he goes in this whole mahalach and using these words that are in the Sikha, that the moment of ribis is the mamoine shel malva. So since the loiva gave it to him, so it's his money. Now, Mamela, he did an avera. What's his tikkun? To give it back. And like the Goyinim Taka say, it's klapi shmaya tikkun. But lehidach yisa, what's the loiva doing? So he says, since it's mamoine, so the Ragat Shava says, since it's mamoine shel malva, when the malva gives back the money to the loiva has to make a ma'aser kinyan. He has to do a kinyan. Because really, during when the loiva gave the ribis to the malva earned that ribis. It's his money. It's mamoine shel malva. Since it's mamoine shel malva, so the mitzad the malva, the tikkun is he has to give it back to the loiva. Mitzad the loiva, the tikkun is he has to do a ma'aser kinyan. He was makne the money to the malva. He did an avera. His tikkun is that he does a ma'aser kinyan to be coined this money back, and that's the tikkun. As I learned the Ragat Shava. This is to be mefalpul, and there's a brakapana here again. You see this idea. Now, the Rebbe brings a raya. So first of all, from this din, that's the hechrech, or the strongest raya that you have to say that it's mamoine shel malva, is because you see Yorshim don't have to pay it back. Why don't Yorshim have to pay it back? So if it would be moment of gezel, so they would have to pay it back. Since really the money belongs to the malva, so then why does he have to pay it back? He has to pay it back as a tikkun, as a mitzvah. If it's only a mitzvah, the children are not mechuyev to do, and there's no inyan for them to do the mitzvahs that are chal on the farm. It's only inyan for mitzvah. It's ben adam lamokin. It's not ben adam l'chabein. So what is how come mechilu could help? That's the whole sfar of the Goyinim. And the Rebbe is saying that the Rosh and the Rambam mechila helps has nothing to do with gezel, and in principle in inyan it's really a mitzvah on the malva to give it back. And the Rosh and Rambam also hold that the Yorshim don't have to give it back. So what's taka the sfar? So the Rebbe's mahalach over here is, and this is it's his vart, that what? That enochinami. It's a mitzvah, the ramye rachmon alei, the lashon over there. It's a chiyuv that's kilo like a ben adam lamokim. But nevertheless, what did the Torah say do? How do you do the mitzvah? You do the mitzvah by giving it to the loiva. The says you have to take money and give it to the loiva. So since the Torah said that you have to give money to the loiva, so the loiva could be meichel. The loiva can be meichel not because it's his money. is because the Torah put the chiyuv on him. So it's ki'ilu in oisis of hezber. So what do you want? That's technically that you want the malva to do the tikkun, to give the money into the loiva's pocket, and then the loiva is going to give it back to the malva. Technically, you can do it, but what do you have to? What's the point? So the Rebbe says that that's the svaras of Rambam and the Goy. It's takamamani shel malva. Really, the malva was claiming the money through the transaction of the loan. Like we'll explain a little later, the svaras b'zeh. But al kaponim, this is a chiyuv. Taka the Ram Rachmon Alei as a tikkun, kilu like ben adam lamokim. It's a mitzvah, but what's the mitzvah? To give it to the life, so the life can be meichel. And that's the machlokes between the Rishonim and between the Rishonim and the Goyim. They both hold it's for Moinish Shamal. That's the whole yisod of the Sikha. That's for Moinish Shamal. And that's what the Rebbe has to say that, because he wants to explain why it's a mitzvah to lend to a goy in ribis. So what's the mitzvah? Because if you're lending the goy in ribis, if you're lending the goy without ribis, you're entitled to the Tzutzik Kedusha that's in the money. So Mela, he has to say that it's Mamoyne Shel Malva, because if the Malva is not taking the interest payment from the goy, he's negligent he's negligent because by giving the loan, he's entitled to money from the goy, which is equals Netutzik Kedusha. And if he doesn't, he's allowing Netutzik Kedusha to remain the reshus of the goy. Okay, but let's go back to the nigla and the lomdus of here. So the Untish Shura is it's Mamoyne Shel Malva. As Messiah according to all the Rishonim. Now let's analyze this. What's Taich Taka? It's Mamoyne Shel Malva. Exactly how did he earn this? The Rebbe brings a Gemara in Kiddushin, brings it for it's all in the lesson of Rashi. Hamakadosh b'milva is Ein Mekadesh. Manos Mekadesh. Vas Asl Kim Neina Masribis. So the Gemara goes, what's Taich Hanos Milva? So the Gemara says he lent her money 4, and he wants and he wants back 5, and so he wants back 5. So it's ribis, but he wants to be moicheler the 5th zuz. That's the ribis money. He's going to be moicheler. So the Gemara says that first of all it's ribis. Second of all, first of all. Haribis mal you see, it's mamash ribis. V'oid hainu milva, it's makadosh milva, which is awesome. So first he says haribis mal you see. So the Ritva over there explains, and really it's much more of Rashi, that really you should be able to makadosh with the 5th zuz. Bottom line is he lent her 4 zuz, and he says, and I want ribis 1 zuz. So he's still a real nice guy, this guy. He still wants back his 4 zuz, but the ribis payment he's going to let her have, and that's going to be the kedushin. Okay. So why should it be kedushin? So why is it not a kedushin? First of all, it's ribis. Second of all, it's makadosh b'milva. Okay. What's that with ribis? The chayiv is not giving you anything. If there's no chayiv on ribis, if in a transaction of a loan, almanas ribis, has not been generated a chayiv for a 5th zuz, he's not giving her anything. Is the charaya, and this is the yesod, that when someone lends someone money and the deal is ribis, there's a chayiv on the loiva to give. It's hadini mamanis. It's hadrein hadini mamanis is the chayiv of the loiva to pay that 50. No, but then the Torah asked him to do that. But mitzad dinim mamanis, that's the deal. So therefore, really, he should be able to make kaddish with that 5th zuz, because that 5th zuz, she owes him. The money of ribis, the loiva owes to the malva. That's the first Gemara's kasha. First of all, it's ribis deraisa, and so you're not allowed to do that. Second of all, it's makadosh milva. She owes him that, and we know the din makadosh milva and makadosh. So that's the Ritva's ma'arich in this. That the reason that the understanding from this Gemara is that when you make a deal, the loiva owes the money to the malva. It's also mashmois Rashi here. What's his lashon? So, like he says, so what's ribis malisi? Okay, then he says v'oid haynu milva sha'af hazuz hazeh kvar muchayeves v'oimedes l'sharash. That fifth zuz, she's muchayeves v'oimedes. What's going to be muchayeves v'oimedes? Why is it mekadsh milva? Because it says if she lent him a fifth zuz. And she's mechuyev to pay them a fifth zuz. She didn't lend him a fifth zuz. She only lent him 4. But that's the deal. The deal is that you have to pay it. So she's mechuyev to pay the fifth zuz. So therefore, from here is a raya that when the loiva, even before the loiva pays the malva the money, by receiving the loan on a deal of ribis, the loiva is mechuyev to pay ribis. He's taka mechuyev. So in Mela, when the loiva gives it to the malva, it's mamayne shel malva. Why is it mamayne shel malva? Not only because the loiva gave it beratzen, which the Gemara speaks of Andaf Samach Aleph, but also because the loan was machayev the mammon of ribis, and therefore it's mamayne shel malva. So therefore, really, Sai according to the Raj, and Sai according to the Goyim, it's Mamayne Shel Malva. That's all you saw of the Rebbe Sich. Now, so first of all, this gives an explanation why is Hilchas Ribis in Yeridea? Chol Hilchas Ribis should be in Chayshin Mishpet. It's in Baba Metzia. Hilchas Ribis is in Baba Metzia. It's not in Dine Iser. It's not in Dine Iser Beheter. Yeridei is Iser Beheter. Why is it in Yeridei? It belongs. The Rambam also has it in Hilchos Malva V'Leiva. We learned it lately. That's what Ribis is. Because Rambam goes with the Mahalach of the Mishnah. The Mishnah, it's in Hilchos in Baba Metzia. The Rambam doesn't always go with the Seder of the Mishnayos. You have, for example, Hoyrius is in Ezekin, which is, but in the Rambam he put it together with the Karbonis. With Karbonis, has to bring Karbonis. So the Rambam has his own Mahalach Abrakaponim, and this he went with the Mishnah. So come the Tur set up halacha differently. The whole Shulchan Aruch, the Tur is not given enough credit for that whole structure of Shulchan Aruch. It's really the Tur set up the structure of Dalet Chelkei, what's called today Dalet Chelkei Shulchan Aruch. There's maybe one siman that's not in all of the Dalet Chalakim that's not in the Tur. It's a Chayshin Mishpet. But the Tur decided to put the Ribis in Hilchas Iser V'Heter, not in Chayshin Mishpet, in Yeridei. So there's a Bach that gives a reason that it's after in Yeridei. It's talking about Hilchas Goyim, with first Machalas Asuris, with the Goyim Macholei Akom, and the Nacht is Din Avodah Zara, after Din Avodah Zara, Yayin Nesach, and then Avodah Zara, and then we get into Goyish and Yonim, so Lanachri Sashach, so we start in Chassidus. The Bach explains it. But much geschmacker to say is, especially the way that Rebbe puts it in the Shulchan Aruch, in this Sikha, which is based on the words of the Ritva, that really the din of Ribis is a din of Isur. It's Isur Bala. The lashon of the Ritva is Isur Bala. Why? It's a Mamayne Shel Malva. But Tzad Chayshin Mishpet is Kasher V'Yasher. We made a deal. I lent you money, so you paid me money. That was the deal. Mamela, I earned the money of the Ribis. So why should I give it back to you? What's wrong? I didn't do any avla. That's why it's okay to lend money. You're not allowed to steal. There's a truth from the Tzemach Tzedek. It's brought over here in this liquid, in this kunters that the Kotel gave out. They asked the Tzemach Tzedek, why if you're allowed to lend money, if you're allowed to lend ribis to a goy, and he there's a tshuva. Why? Because you're not stealing anything from the goy. I think the hedgasha by him is more beratzen. Al kaponim, the way that Rebbe puts it, it's not only because the goy is giving or Yid Lahavdil is giving the money, but Ratzin is because your money is entitled to make money off of the use of your money. This also explains, and I was always wondering, the Avnei Nezer was 8-9 halakim at Avnei Nezer, and the Avnei Nezer is split up according to it's a Shas Shuvah, the Chidushim on Gemara, Chidushim Kedushin, and so on. But it's split up. It's Seder of Dal Chelkei Shulchan Aruch. Now he has a name in the Chelkei there. The section that deals with Isur Ribis, he has chuvas, several dozen chuvas on Isur Ribis and Hagos on the Torah Shulchan Aruch. He gave it a title, Bris Achim. I didn't know, what's up with Bris Achim? Nice title. Bris Achim. Huh? Have Bris, because Bris is Isis Ribis. Nice play on the words. But what's Bris Achim? What's that Bris Achim? So the way, according to this Sikha, the Isser of Ribis is no Avla. There's no Avla. And really, you're entitled to the money of Ribis that Reuven is lending him, and they're making a deal. He wants to pay Ribis. He needs the loan. He's going to profit even more. The whole business is on loans. The banking business, the industry is always based on loans. So, was kommt der Torah und sagt, it's your brother. It's only because he's your brother, and there's a bris achim, you shouldn't lend the money on ribis. It says there's no avla in ribis. It's an union of Avis Yisrael. It's an Avis Yisrael and Achvas Yisrael. And Achvas Yisrael, you should do a favor of Yid, that when he needs money, you should lend him money without ribis. It's b'derech hamela lanachri sashich. You're allowed to a guy because there's no bris achim over here. All of this is because be'emes, the din of ribis is a din of Easter, not a din of Mo. Now let's take this a step further. What's talking the logic? The logic of Pashtus is, listen, if I lend you my car, so then I'm entitled to take money. I give you my car. It's my car. And I say, you want my car for a week? For a week, they all got married already. They finished with renting cars. So I don't know, what does a car rent a week cost? Whatever it costs, or a day. You can get over here for a day, for a few hours. There's all things to do. You're allowed to rent a car to go out with your wife, get a car, a nice fancy car. It's okay. Akapanim. So what are we? So let's say you're renting a car. So I'm giving you my car, and you're giving me $100 place. I don't know. It's 2 days, 3 days, whatever. So I'm giving you a day, $50 a day. I'm renting my car. You're giving me back my car plus $50. A house, an apartment. I'm lending you my apartment. You give me back my apartment plus rent. Why can't I rent out my money? There's more risk. I mean, what are you going to do with my apartment? You can't run away. I'm giving you $100,000 cash, $10,000 cash. Why am I not allowed to take rent for renting it? So l'chura, das is the husband. The husband, you're right. You're allowed to. If it's morally right, so to say, to take rent for a car and for an apartment, so I'm giving you something else, and I'm taking for this rent. So therefore, just like if someone pays me rent, it's Mamoneh shel maskir. Al derech zeh Mamoneh shel malva. It's like schiris. But this is where it gets interesting. This is a big problem with that mahalach. Huh?
If you go to this mahalach, so why did they ask only money and not other items?
Okay, good.
Your brother love, let us use your house, your car, and everything. Why not?
See the name Mishpacha. Das is mine, is thine. But good. I get cash is more universally needed. People need money to do business, right? So good. So yes, ledavar safe.
Money is more than net as to someone that works for you.
Okay, good. But this whole mahalach is problematic. There is a lashon in the Rashi, metaf taka verstehen the lashon, where is medama ribis to schiris. There's a tshuvas amichasses la Ramban. But before I go to that, there's a big question that's raised about this whole mahalach. So in Svara you could ask it, and really the Chassam Sofer in a tshuva in the Cheluk Vav. So I'm going to read for you some of his lashonis. He says like this. He holds that this is that's not the hesber of ribis. He holds that it's not a rental, and therefore because of that we have to go to a whole new mahalach. Balabatish, you could say that, and in the Sikha comes out very geshmak. So money shel malva. That's the whole you said of the Sikha. So why is it money shel malva? Because it's my money. Some Sefer says, and I'm going to read for you the lashon was mighty. He says, "Nirali lachkach kira achas, iloyosar Torah ribis akapon b'meh yischayev haloy v'lashalem yoysim yischayev v'lashalem." Now, it's in plain language, and I'm soon to read more of his lashonis. His what's bothering the Chassam Sofer is, if I give you $1,000 loan, why do you have to pay me $1,000 loan back? Because my $1,000 by you was mechayev you to pay me $1,000 back. I mean, shibud aguf, shibud mammon. My $1,000 mana li biyotcha. So meilam the mana li biyotcha is that mana is mine. So now you have to, even though you spent it, but you have to give back to me. But where does that extra ribis payment come from? That's bothering the Chassam Sofer. He says, because the lawyer said, I'm going to pay you another $100. So, hat gesagt, words are not machayiv. He says, etain is nicht machayiv. If someone says, etain is not machayiv, he brings makayis. So, this is his chakira. If the Torah didn't ask it, his chayva says he took a loan, you have to pay back the loan. That's his problem. Then he says, you can say the svara we said before about Abatash svara. It's like you're entitled to rent out your kalim and to charge for it. You get back your kalim and you get money, so you can do that with the money. With money, it says kamaska kalev. V'noitel schar pulas kalev. Ubazeh shapim mishtabed meshichas hakelim. When you take my kalim, you're mishtabed and mischayev to pay for the rent. V'chanam mishtabed b'meshichas hamois l'shalom schar pulas moisav. Zaini. Hasam chayzer be'ein l'bailov. V'noitel schar pachsa. Avahacha malvelates milvelates on it. V'hanizuzi azli la'alma misham le'achedim. He says, why are you paying rent? You're paying rent. He uses the word pachsa. The use made it worth less. It gets used up. So you're using my kalim, driving around my car. So there's more miles, there's more use, you're eating up some oil, whatever it is. So there's a pchisus, ha'erech of it. There's an apartment, you're using an apartment, there's use. So since you're using, you have to pay for the use. But the money is milvul ha'itsanitna. It's not here anymore. Once I give you, you're not giving me back the same money. You're giving back other money. So you spend that money, and you have mechiv to give me. It's a Bitcoin. I don't know what Bitcoin is. Did you give a share on Bitcoin? You gave her this money. You sent me a thing you gave on margin and stocks and calls. Wie kommen wir in the live wissen, was die Sache?
You have the whole explanation of the Bible.
Okay, short selling. Right. Akapanim, give them education. It's good. You go to Kollel, you learn a lot of things. Akapanim. So where were we? Yeah. So Mela, by a halva, you're not using my money. I gave you $10,000 loan. That $10,000 you owe me. What are you doing? It's like son. You're not giving me back that $10,000. You're giving me back other $10,000. It's your $10,000. It becomes yours. It's your money. And you spent it. And now you're going to be wheeling and dealing for the next 3 months. Because you have to pay me back after 3 months or after the half a year. You're not using my money. My money became valueless. From want is da his chayvus to pay the ribis. Because you said that I'm going to give you. Etin is not a chiv. That's bothering some second. Other Lashanis over here. But may is chayiv. But may is chayiv.
If there's something that you rent out that makes it better, it's financially expensive for it, but you can still charge rent.
Okay, so the emesis, there's a lashon in Samach Tes. Rav Chama, don't get any ideas, because the Halacha is not like that. Rav Chama have a moigir zuzi. Moigir is to rent out money. Sovar, my shna memora. He said, what's the difference between a shovel? See, he can rent out a shovel. You can rent out a shovel. So I can rent out money. So there's a whole discussion. What was he thinking? How does he use the ribis? Samach Tasim base. What?
Today, you have to have proof of funds. No, you have the full amount. You could borrow from somebody, you could rent from somebody, it could be sitting in your account for a month or two. You're not using the money, it's just there for the purpose of on display.
Okay, so
You give back the same money as a laptop. A laptop
We can, but there's no depreciation, so there's no.
but halakhically, the problem because the Poel.
Well, it's on it, maybe they weren't with you.
Yeah, so but still, the Poel, the charge for it would be.
Purpose is purely for display.
Yeah, but the Poel halach legally, it's now your money. So maybe it's a halva. I'm not going to the halacha of it, but it's a halva because legally, the one who's not Poel mamish have to make a transfer of money into the other guy's account. So you're making a transfer. So now once you make a transfer, it's his. Call it whatever you want. Okay, so there's a whole discussion, the Gemara over here, that if Hitaka gives him money, Marshall, he gives him a bag of money, and this bag of money he would give him back, that would be schiris. That would be taka okay. So if Rav Chama would give, let's say, a bag of money, a guy wants to show, listen, I have cash. They say that Rebbe gave people $100 bill in France, in Vichy, France, so to get into a hotel, whatever. So that would be okay to charge, because then it's like a car. I'm giving you a bag of money. This same bag of money you're giving back to me. So that would be like schiris kelim. But if it's milvul ha'itsanitna, then it's a different story. So the Gemara says that this is wrong from Rav Chama. He was thinking it's like Mora. So that svara we said before. That svara is what the Gemara says. L'churim in Rav Chama. He says I can rent out my shovel. I can rent out, or my axe. I can rent out my money. So what does the Gemara say? So he lost his wealth because the Gemara like this brings down to Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Someone uses uses money for ribis, is going to lose his money. Kalu zuzi Rav Chama. Who saver ma'ishna mara? V'lohi mara. So this. So really, the Gemara says two things. Some Sefer is just one thing. He says, "Mara hadre be'eina v'yedia pachse zuzi v'yedia pachse." The Mara, it comes back be'eina, be'en, same Mara you got, same keli you're giving, you're getting back. And pachase, there is a devaluation. A zuzi, the money I lent you is not coming back, that same money. There's no loss in the money. There's no loss. For some reason, some Sefer only brings that Nakuda, but it's really both Nakudas. So Akaponim, this Gemara would be a raya to the Chasam Sefer, to his whole Mahalach. So he's trying to understand how could there be a chiyuv of ribis. And the kash is really on the Sicha, the Mahalach of the Sicha. If you can hold that ribis is gezel, so good. The chiyuv of giving back the ribis is because you're taking someone else's money. If you're going to hold that ribis is mamoni shel malva and he earned it, it's not just that it's matona, but he earned it because it's like because al derech schiris, but it's not a schiris. So Mela, so where did the chiyuv come from? And so he says, "Eina chanami b'milva apelem is chayiv." I feel the asr Torah. Even if the Torah wouldn't asr it, there wouldn't be sus chayvus. If the Torah asr it, there's a whole debate in Mefarshim. If it's komad al rachmana, what the Torah asr is yav leimahani. There's a whole discussion on Tmura, but I'm not going to go into that. And Abrakapanim. Certainly, so he says, chiyuv of ribis is only a milva b'shtar yeshus chayvus. But a milva alpeh is not chayvus. Clearly, that's not the shit of the Rebbe. That's shit of a lot of the Ritva, which it says clearly, it doesn't say it's a milva in the sugi and kedushin. It's not it's a milva b'shtar, it's a milva. He learned Mar Dalid, and once again, Begzuzi, and there's a chayvus of the fifth zuz. So clearly, these Rishonim don't learn like the Chasam Sefer's Mahalachas of before Dafen verstehen Take. From where is Chayvus? L'chure, it's not the same as Schiras. So where does this Chayvus? So there's one Mahalach. There's a lashon in Rashi in Samach Beis. It's talking of it in the Suga if even if they didn't take the money of ribis, is there an iser? Is there an iser? Let's say simun olav neshach. Let's say simun olav neshach. So there's a din of a loises of shuma even if you didn't collect the money. So the whole discussion in the Gemara, how this works. The lashon of Rashi is shuma ba'alma sheshama olav neshach hayidei tanai. So Rashi it's a din of a tanai. It's a kilo. If I give you money on a loan, I made it now. You pay me from them vertachiv. There's no oasis over there to explain it. You have some achreinim, have some svaras, but I'm going to share with you two svaras, two approaches to this. One approach is the Chidush Herim brings this. He wants to say it's medin arev. It's medin arev. Let's touch din arev. Din arev, it's also the sugi in kedushin, mekadesh medin arev. So din arev is Reuven lends money to Shimon. So Shimon has to pay. Why does Shimon have to pay? Reuven lent Shimon $10,000. Shimon has to pay because he got $10,000. Like some Sefer said, this is chayvus. You got to give back. Good. Now, but there's also an arev here. What's the arev? The arev says, so who's the malva? Reuven is the malva? Yeah, let's say Reuven is the malva. So the arev says to Reuven, if you'll give a loan to Shimon, I'm an arev. Because Reuven doesn't want to give a loan to Shimon, because Shimon is just Shimon. He wants to have an Arv. So if Reuven says to Shimon, give money to Shimon, if the Arv says to Reuven, give the money to Shimon, and I'm an Arv, he's mechuyev to pay that loan. It says if Shimon doesn't pay, Reuven has to pay. Pasha the Arv, regular din Arv, not Arv Kaplan, regular Arv. So now, l'chura, Reuven just said words. It's less, I'm going to pay you money. So I said, I didn't make a king. You made a king with me. You didn't make a king with me. So you're a fool. I told you, lend him $10,000, and I'm guaranteeing it. So why am I mechuyev? So the din is that I'm mechuyev to pay him. So you have edim, but l'chuyev, it's just I said words. Let's say I say to you, you know something? I'll give you $10,000. It's just words. I'm not mechuyev to say give you $10,000. It's etain. I'm going to give you. It has to be a schayvis. Schayvis through a king. There's no kinyan. So how does this work? So there's different lishonis in the rishonim and svaras in the rishonim. There's some sichas of the Rebbe, chelik chavav, chelik lamed. So you can have a lot of fun with this. But al kaponim, so the b'chlolas, there's two ways of learning pshat. One is like the lashon rishonim in kedushin. It's based on lashon Gemara. B'ahi ano, that the schayvus of the other is because he got something from the malva. It's he had hanod that the loiva that the malva was had amun in him. It says b'ahi hanod that the Arav had, he received something that the malva gave a loan of $10,000 to the loiva on his word. In other words, he did a maisa on his word. That shows on the power of this Arav. So the Arav had hanoah from the malva, so that makes his chayvus for him. If for hanoah you got to pay. So therefore he's mechuyev to pay malva. And that says kiddushin. If a isha says to the chassan, if you give that person money, I will be mukadeshes to you. She has hanoah. So therefore he's mukadesh. That's mukadesh within Arav. So that's one way of learning. So when they get to Rebis, Chedusha him wants to say, so I asked you for a loan. So there's two things going on. Just like by the Arav, the loiv has to pay $10,000 because he got $10,000. The Arav has to pay $10,000 because he had hanoah from the malva that his words carry weight, that on his word the malva lent money to the loiva. So why does the Arav have to pay? Because for that hanoah he was mischayiv himself, and for that he has to pay. That is a transaction that's mechayiv. Al derech also beribis. In other words, Reuven lent Shimon $10,000 because he trusted Shimon. So the $10,000 is chayiv because his money biyotcha. His $10,000 of the malva is in the hands of the loiva. But then, why does he have to pay him also the ribis? Because for the hanoah that he had, it's the ribis. So it's a mahalach, and but if you go into the lumdis of Arav, it's not so pashut, because some learn pshat in the Arav. It's in the sugi of kedushin, and the Rebbe sich over there is different. I found the way the Rebbe learns pshat in the Arav, the different sichas, chelik chavav, chelik lamed. Some learn pshat in Arav that when the chiv Arav is not stab sahana. The chiv of the Arav is really when the malva gives this $10,000 to the loiva, it's kilu he gave the $10,000 to the Arav. In other words, it's kilu the loiva is like a shliach of the Arav. So it says, instead of giving me the $10,000, he's giving him the $10,000, and he's kilu zoicha for me, so therefore I'm a chuyev to give him. It's not communities they bring, let's say he tells them to throw it in the ocean, or put it in a rock, or give it to a goy. Is there a din arvis? Some taich, it's in the Rishayim and Kedushin that it's kilu the Arav was makabel the money. If it's kilu or the Arav was makabel the money, we're going to come back to some Seif's kasha. For $10,000, I'm a chuyev $10,000, not more than $10,000. If the Arav is like you gave it to him, it's like you gave it to me, so I'm a chuyev $10,000, but not more than $10,000. That's all some Seifers. That's chayvus. You can't make more than a chayvus than what you got. Good, but if you learn pshat and din of that it's ba'hi hano, so there is a certain hano which makes it an extra chiyuv. Another mahalach that could be said over here is really in the lashon. I was trying to find an Indian that's yushiv more in the lashon of the sikha. He says, "Mekiva should be HaKadosh Baruch Hu eselamay ba'ofen v'seder." ואויפן וסדר זה שהאדם יוכל להרוויח בכספי על ידי שילב העושה בריבס. The seder oilam that is that people could make money on ribis. He's talking about through a guy, even beheter. Yiseder zu sha'agar naterle ha'seichel mechayiv ze. Seichel is mechayiv ribis. How to 33. First he brings in how to 31. Haribis choyvu shneschayv aloi v'chayl shalom. Al shatera gazer, then it's not, you're not allowed to do. Now, so he uses the word agar natale. In Shulchan Aruch, if you learn Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, you see that this thing is schar hamtonas hamois, lashon Rashi. What's ribis? Schar hamtonas hamois. For waiting for the money, that's agar natale. Agar the schar natale for waiting. Not to means to watch. So I'm watching, waiting for you to come, give me back the money. For that, this is schar. What's the schar? So I was thinking like this. The emes is and like he says it over here, that Adam yochel harviach b'kaspo aydei sheyalva oiseh beribis. You can make money from ribis. There's a lashon you have that in the poskim and Alter Shulchan Aruch. L'chura, when you're lending money, you're losing money because you couldn't make money with this thing. You can invest in short selling and calls and puts and options and So you couldn't make money. So money, or you can invest in whatever. You can make money. So now, when Reuben lends money to Shimon, is mevatel kisoi. What says mevatel kisoi? Bitul kisoi. You have this lashon in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch and other poskim. The chod is mevatel kisoi. He is mevatel his wallet. My wallet could generate money. Now the banks don't give interest, but years ago, you used to get 5%, 8% even sometimes. You can make money. So you want me to take out money from my account? I could be making money. And I should lend you without making money. Because the Torah said, you're not allowed to bris achim. You have to lend money. There's a mitzvah in Kesef Talva, it's a mitzvah to lend money on not interest, which means I'm a vatel's kisoi. I'm a vatel my wallet. So you should do you a favor for you to make money, or you need money, whatever it is. So let's understand this. Now the din is mevatel kisei shel chaveroi is potter. If someone takes someone's money, his money bag, he takes it from him, or he doesn't give it back. Or he doesn't give it back to him. It's a pakadon. Reish Tzadik Beis. Reish Tzadik Beis about a pakadon. So he has money from his thing, and he doesn't give it back to him. Meanwhile, he loses a deal. I need my money. I'm a businessman. Money, cash, with cash I can make money. Here's it over here. In Bo Bala Pekadon, he gave cash to a Pekadon. In Bo Bala Pekadon, so the owner of the Pekadon is coming along. V'omer ten li pikdoni, v'ani arviach behen, ba'atzmi. I will make money. V'hola ma'akev biyadai, and the one who's saying is ma'akev biyadai, chayiv lit le'arevach mikan al haba. He has to give him a revach. That's what Ramah says. Meanwhile, the Shach brings from the Rashal, what he brings that wait a minute, that filu tava lidin, va'amalei ten li pukdani ki yesh li revach butter. I can make a deal, a clear profit. Umavared dvarav, and he shows the bezdin that he make a clear profit. V'zeh ma'akvain, he's not giving it back. Potter. The mavatal kisei lehava legrama. It's only grama. The emes is the Yerushalmi, that's Allah. And the first, I was trying to enter the Ramah, how you talking that you have to pay. But real the lashon of the Yerushalmi is mavatal kisei is potter mishal grama. We're going to go into Baba Kama soon about this. So if I'm holding you back, even intentionally holding you back against your ratzon, you can't make money. Mavatul kisas shareis patat grama. Why is grama? I didn't take anything away from you. I prevented you from making money. Preventing you from making money is grama. Male is pater. So why does the Ramah says chayiv? You have the nesivis. Other Mepharshim say because since it's chayiv l'tna harevach mikan al haba. Since you made money on his money, therefore the Ramah holds that you have to pay because you made money on his money. But let's say he wouldn't make money on his money, the Shemer Apakadin, he wouldn't have to pay because that would be grama. But over here it's because he made money on his money. The Rashal holds that even if he made money on his money, it's only grama. But he made money on that money. That's his business. But what's a dir gishat? Dir gishat. Whatever dir gishat is only part of mitzad. So good. Yeah, machlekes Rashal and the thing. But upon the aside is mevatel kisa shachaveri is part. It's part. So now, however, what I was thinking is like this. That b'med v'ra amurim, if someone did it, was mevatel kisa shachaveri. And the in of halva beribis, there's bittul hakis. Because I'm lending you $10,000 and I'm willing you giving it to you. So I couldn't make money. And I didn't, because I want to do your face. I want to do a mitzvah. Now, when I want to take ribis, I want to charge you for that use. If someone says, I want to charge you for mevatel kisish chaveri, if someone came and was took my wallet or didn't give me back my wallet, so good. The din is gram ben zakum pater. But what happens if I made a deal that I'm going to take a loss, but I want to charge you for it? I'm not entitled to charge you. I'm entitled to charge you. I found a riot such as Svara in Baba Kama, which is a similar idea in the sugi of Zanana v'Zalechasur. So someone came into my chatzar, hadar b'chatzar chavere, shalai b'rshus. So then it's all shaila, zanena v'zalechasur. It's like zanena, the one. So if the guy is nena, so there's a whole discussion in the Gemara. If the guy is not nena, because he's a guy who has plenty of houses, he can live anywhere. Just parked himself over here, but he has across the street, around the corner, he can sit in 770, whatever. He's not where's the lashon over here? That Gavra the loy avad l'meikar. So he's loy nana, and let's say he's loy nana, and you're chaser. So Taisa says he's still going to be pater. The Rif argues on that. The Rambam argues on that. He says So he says, so the Tais says it's potter because it's grama. He says like this, interesting. Dafilu girshai chaveire mi beisai. Let's say you come to someone's house, you put a lock on his house. You stuff his lock. Don't get in here, it is. So you stuff the guy's lock. He can't go, he has to go to a hotel. Yeah? So what's up Tais? V'nol delas b'fonav. Ein zela grama b'yalma. It's only grama, potter. That's chaser. The chaser that you're guiding by being in someone else's chaser is potter. It's grama. So Taka, as I said before, the Rambam argues on that, the Lashon they bring to him. So they won't explain the Rambam's shit to l'chura, it's mavatal kisa shechavere. So it says because you technically took away someone's stuff. You're using that how when you make a chesaron, it's a grama ben azak. It's not a grama, but that chesaron of a grama, you're using it, so you're chayiv. That's the Rambam. You can explain Rebbe that way. So first of all, if you go with that mahalach, the way the Rambam holds is, if grama, that's even if you're doing it b'karcha. What I'm saying here is, it's not the way the Chassam Sofer is saying. He's saying, where's this chayvus coming from? He says, I gave you money, you have to give me money, nothing more. I said I'm going to pay your ribbis, does not make anything. The Rebbe uses the lashon that this is the natural order of thing because of agar natale. So what I'm thinking is like this: for waiting for my money, the only thing in halacha is mavatal kisa shachavein. It's mavatal kisa shachavein. Now, if I can charge from mavatal kisa shachavein, in fact, Tosis says over here, even in the case of zen and of azalei chaser, where the owner of the chaser is not chaser, he doesn't live here, he doesn't rent it out, and the other guy is nena, even according to the manda amakayfam with this dying. Nevertheless, the owner could stop him. This din, if he's there, he's potter. If he parked there without the rishus, but he could stop him from living there. If he's there, this is private property. Get out of here. Now, if he's minor him, he's a homeless guy. He's a homeless guy. He's a it's like chaser. It's like chaser. Even if it's like chaser, and your whole kefnes and midrash daim, that's b'diavad. But lachatchila, I'm not letting. I don't have to let you. So for that, what's taich? I don't have to let you. The taich is I can make you pay money. So therefore, he doesn't have to give him the loan. It's a mitzvah. Of mitzvah dinei moment, it doesn't have to give him the loan. So what is he charging? He's charging because through me using the loan, I got nothing. Like there's a possibility of making money. Since there's a possibility of making money, so I can charge for that possibility of making money. Let's say you would hold my money, is mavatal klisa chavere, is grama potter, but I could charge for it. Lachatchila, I could charge for it. And I'll tell you why. What's the din? Grama ben zakum potter. So if someone was greater potter, but there's a Rashi in Baba Kama, that im tafas lemef kilimene. What's grama zakum potter? Potter medini adam, v'chai medini shemayim. So there's a chiv medini shemayim. It's not that there's no chiv. So if I'm giving up my money for you, which I could make money on this money, why can't I charge you for this money? That's aganatale. But even if then was a loy chaser, I could stop you from using my money. So it's my reshus. So therefore I can charge for it. So the aganatale. So this would be a stick away to Miashiv, the mahalach of the Rebbe's mahalach. Where does this chayvus come from? Another thing, in a small kudu, and this I'm going to end. The Hilchas Ribbis of the Alter Rebbe is a whole limud. He's meirich, his word, he talks a lot. And there's a reason why he's explaining things with Havana. Hilchos Rebis is totally different than any other halachas that he wrote. In Oyer Chaim and in Yeridei, so it's like the Seder of Tov Shulchan Aruch. Chosh Mishpat's not. Hilchos Rebis, it's, what is it, 80 sifrim or something? Or how many sifrim? 79, 80 sifrim. What's the Seder? It's not the Seder of the Shulchan Aruch. It's his own Seder. It's sort of why he chose this Seder. Apparently, this is more practical. Kilo. But it's tzarich every halacha you see all the malaktim, the Bris Yehuda, and the others, Toras Rebis, they're all bringing the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. I mean, there's a lot of chidushim there that you don't find in other svarim. If you medaf in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. But I want to just say one akuda, which was I found very interesting. So I have this. Here's the Adam. He brings all the tziyun. Oh. So yeah, so he brings in Sif Beis Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Kol hamal beberibis kilo koifer b'lakei Yisrael. It's in Gemara and in Shulchan Aruch and in Torah. Ubi Yitzias Mitzrayim. The Alter Rebbe adds something that's not in Shulchan Aruch. It's not in Rambam. It's not anywhere. He got into the Alter Rebbe. Ve'einu kam b'tchiyas hamesim. He's not come with chisa meis. Really frightening. And he says, "V'av bo'ilam hazen nechasim v'smoitim v'kolim." So that is what we just said. Rav Chama, he was lending money beribis, even though there's limud chusim, but nechas, he's going to lose his money. But this einu kam b'tchiyas hameisim, das steht nicht in Torah, no Shulchan Aruch. Where do you get this from? So you have on the in the original Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch on the Gillian. What was written in the original text, but Pashtas, this is from the Alter Rebbe himself. Some say some of it is from the Maril. So the Alter Rebbe brings a mocker. Where does he get this idea? The Einu Kam B'tchiyas hamesim. So what does it say? This is in the original Ksavya, not the added ha'aris that Kahas printed and so on, but in the original text, it says Einu Kam B'tchiyas hamesim. It's not in the Shulchan Aruch. Where did he get this from? So the Alter Rebbe found this. He found this in the Tosfos. Make the halacha einu kam b'tchiyas hamesim. So he brings Tosfos ayin beis masal tashich l'shinuya kama. What's state started in Tosfos? Tosfos is talking about goyim. About goyim, if goyim have an iser ribis to lend each other iser ribis. What's it on the base? So the goyim said to Shleimer, Shema b'nei Noach hoyu muzaram al ribis, k'mo shehu zaru al hagezel. It's Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. V'haf agav the ribis lo yasim hagezel. Kol makom kehechad the Rishon Perek Daled misses the b'nei Noach muzaram al hagezel lo kol eitz hagan v'lo hagezel hu adem the ribis why not? So then he asks, he brings a medrash. He brings before that a medrash. Here's this medrash. There's a medrash. Here's brings a medrash about the story of Meisim Shehechya Yecheskel. Taisa brings a medrash. So the Meisim Shehechya Yecheskel, the Bikas Dura. So he brings in Targum Yerushalmi, even though the Malaktim say they couldn't find him in Yerushalmi, that so there was these Atzomas HaYeveshus, one of the most dramatic one of the most dramatic scenes in Tanakh. So here in Bikas Dura, there's a bunch of bones, dry bones, and the Eibusha says to Yecheskel, talk to the bones, and they're all going to become alive. And there's a whole scene is portrayed in Sefer Yecheskel. But one guy didn't rise. So the Medrash says, why? Oise shehilva beribis. Lama lechaya oise shehilva beribis. B'meisim shehechi Yecheskel v'bikas dura. It's such a Medrash. There's a Pirkei Rebbe Lezer. The Malachtim bring different Medrashim. But Tosfos brings this Medrash. And Tosfos is assuming that those Meisim had a din of B'nei Noyach. Assuming that, as that's what Mashal says, because this was before Matan Torah. Who are these Meisim? These Meisim were from the Bnei Ephraim that left Mitzrayim early. Shalaik Yedin, so therefore they died, and Yecheskel was Machaya them. So one of them didn't rise. Why? Because he was Malva Beribis. So from this is Machriach. Tosfos say Sheva b'nei Yochanan how you Mazalim al Aribis. So therefore, this is before Matan Torah. So therefore, this one person who was Malva Beribis died. It didn't rise. So it says in the Medrash, why? Because he was Malva Beribis. So Goyim are not allowed to lend each other Beribis. So in Tosfos Maskana is two truths. One teretz is Enochanami. They're not allowed. That's the first teretz. They're not allowed. Second teretz is there's no Isa from Bnei Noach to take from each other in this. Who gavra the lekam because zaya einish wasn't an einish, and he was not roy for that. He wasn't roy. The Meisim Shach Yecheskel was a special schus that Yecheskel was machaya this person, but this person Enochanami wasn't. He didn't do an iser, but he didn't deserve it. So therefore, he didn't come alive. There's no einish. So it's two truths in the Tosfos. If goyim are allowed to lend each other ribis. Now, so according to the first teretz, that person who didn't get up for Tchias HaMeisim, that was an einish, because goyim are not allowed to do it. According to the second teretz, it wasn't an einish. So it comes in the chilch in the first teretz. The second teretz is if Malva Beribis have an einish of not coming with Tchias HaMeisim. What the Rebbe do? What's the mock that the Rebbe has of the Alter Rebbe has over here? That like come Tchias HaMeisim, he found the Tosfos, and Tosfos ayin on the base the Ramaschal Tashch l'shaluni kama shuike. That's this whole thing. There's two teretz with Tosfos. The Alter Rebbe says the Iker is the first teretz. That why was this guy who was Malva Beribis like come Tchias HaMeisim? Because the goyim are muzer on ribis. So therefore, this guy was doing it was an einish. It's an einish. Like come Tchias HaMeisim. Mikan that there's an einish for lending beribis. Like come Tchias HaMeisim. That's his whole right. Fine, but hastakasha. Maybe they had to go through gators. All these guys. It's another discussion. But let me finish. Also, the words of the Alter Rebbe. Shehu ikir lefidasa Ramban v'kesa Mishnah v'lechem Mishnah saif perik tez milchas malachim. The ikir svara is why is that? What's the Alter Rebbe machriach to go to the first teretz of Tosfos? So he says because the ikir is like the first teretz of Tosfos. That what? That goyim are not allowed to take ribis one from another. That's why it's an einish. Why? Because the Ramban says in the Sheva Mitzvahs Bnei Noach, in the Bnei Yaakov, when they killed that thing, what's that the Sheva Mitzvahs Bnei Noach is also dinim, and dinim is dinim. So what's Alter Rebbe learning pshat? The dinim includes ribis. So therefore, goyim are not allowed to take ribis. And that's understood from the Ramban. The Ramban doesn't say anything about ribis. He says dinim. The Kesef Mishnah, Lechem Mishnah, Seif Perek Tes Milchas Malachim. So over there, the shaila is over there in Sefer Perek, he talks about the dinim of Bnei Noach as the end of Hilchos Malachim. And so the Rambam learns Pshat dinim is Botei Mishpat. And the Kesef Mishnah and brings from the Ramban, it's not Dafka Botei Mishpat, it's Bechlal, dinim and Adam Lachaveir, like Gezel, and all these pratim are included in dinim. So all the dinim, the Dini Yisrael are doing, they also mechuyev to do mitzvah dinim. That's one of the 7 mitzvahs Bnei Noach. Al what do you see from here? That Chud Alter Rebbe holds that ribis, that the goyim are muzer b'ribis. So, and this is the first teretz of Taisus, and over there it's Gezel. So I mentioned you a few Taisus in Baba Kama that also hold that it's a gather of Gezel. But that's a whole different mahalach. First of all, Dafen verstehen, Mele by Yid, Taisus and Baba Kama said, why is it Gezel? Because Torah asked it. That's why it's Gezel. Right? Since he wasn't supposed to do it, the Lashon. Here's my paper. I quoted the Taisus and Baba Kama. The Afagav the Medas Nostam Isnayu Gabei B'Teres Gezela. The Havakan is Sinibitos. It's an Sinibitos. Why is it an Sinibitos? Let's not say it's an Sinibitos. Why is it an Sinibitos? Because you're not allowed to give ribis. So I can understand why for a year it's Gezel, because it's an Sinibitos. I can understand that, not like the Rebbe's Mahalach, not the Ritvo's Mahalach. I understand that we spoke about that at length. But the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch comes with this whole chiddush, steht nicht in the poskim, that lekommt chisa meis. We found the Taisus daf ayin, the zweite zum Taisus, the Iker is getiritz aleph, was von der Rambam paskin to say, v'chein Iker, and mele kommt chisa meis, but what's the yesod? Because that guy didn't get up chisa meis, because as an oynish, because he was ma'avu b'ribis. What's wrong with ribis? It's not the sin of betas. It's especially the way the Rebbe learns and all these Yeshayim learn that the Mama Ribis is earned, the Loiva gives it willingly, and even if you can learn like the Yeshayim who learned that by a Yid it's a gather of Gezel, that's because Taisus says it's in the sin of betas. You're not supposed to do it, so it's Gezel. But why by a Goy is it Gezel? So I don't know. So they bring from a Gra that he wants to say when is Ribis Bechlal a gather of Gezel if it's Bal Korchach. It's talking about Bal Korchach. It's nicht mistaber. The Ribis is like Gezel only if it's Bal Korchach. So then it's Gezel. It's not Bal Korchach. I was thinking maybe there's a din of Gezel de Rabbanon that betting asmachta is why you're not allowed to bet. So one of the reasons brought in Poskim is because when the one who loses the bet, they made a deal, they made a bet, but the guy who loses is not doing a b'leif shalom. In fact, he was so much that he's not going to lose the bet. Mela, this is gezel midrabanan. We made a deal, and I'm giving you the money willingly. But b'leif shalom, I'm not giving it. So it's a gezel midrabanan. So are you going to learn that by Goyim there's a din of machshava, and by the ribis they don't want to give it. So Mela, it's a din of gezel. Okay. Because by Goyim more machshava, there's lumdus on that. Is the machshava by a Goy? I don't know. Abrakaponim ten lachochem v'yachemoid, and there's a lot to do. This is Yisoid Gadol. Chvoid Achsanya, Reb Sholem Ber is doing wonderful work over here, and his colleague. They're doing wonderful work over here, and you deserve a lot of compliments, and also those who are behind the sponsors, the Gashmis, the Zvulun, and the Yisachar, and the Ikers, and the younger light are learning, and they're growing in the Torah. Torah is the best Torah. And as I said before, really, maybe you should have some kind of a certain bezdin of Hilchos Ribis to prevent, bring the Das HaKol to understand this whole thing. Just give them a paper here, sign it, and you have a Psahat Teriska. All right, Sami Gebench, Let Mitzliach.
Thank you very much.